Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Surviving Narcissism Together. Okay, so in today's video, we're gonna dive a bit deeper into the new supply and why the narcissist tends to downgrade to a new supply and what it really means. Now, narcissists, they're notorious for cycling through new sources of supply, often quickly moving on to someone new while displaying traits like infidelity and rapid disengagement. This we know. But the new supply often appears to be a downgrade. And I'm not trying to be mean or harsh, but it's just the reality that the narcissist moves on so quickly to someone that might be less attractive, or maybe has a lesser quality, or maybe has less status than you, and it could often leave your head spinning. It leaves you very disoriented, wondering if you were never good enough. So today we're going to break down and uncover the truth behind why narcissists often appear to downgrade when they move on, and why it has nothing to do with your worth but instead with their relentless need for validation. Okay, so there is usually a lot of confusion after the discard due to this downgrade, right? As I said, that the person, you would have noticed this, they tend to seem less favorable in their attractiveness. Some may be less accomplished, some may not seem to match the narcissist's outlook, they may not be compatible with them. So for survivors, especially myself, I remember questioning this concept because it was really confusing and painful. It seems so counterintuitive that why would a narcissist choose someone who doesn't measure up, especially as it affects their image. If narcissism is all about image and how they look and all about this ego boost, why would you choose someone who is a downgrade after you? The reality is that narcissists downgrade someone who's easier to control. Now, I know you may be thinking, if they chose someone lesser, what does that really say about me? Honestly, it isn't about who's better or who's worse in terms of looks, in terms of quality, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's all about control, validation, and supply. Remember, narcissists are driven by supply, hence the term new supply. So they need constant attention, they need constant admiration, validation to maintain that inflated self-image. So when they move on, it's not about love, it's about replacing the supply they got from you. And that doesn't mean you were a downgrade, but they tend to downgrade after you. So the new supply isn't chosen strategically because they're better, but because they're easier. Do you see the difference? The new supply may be more naive or more moldable. They're less likely to question things and are more willing to idealize the narcissist without asking for accountability. So while you saw through the manipulation, the new supply, the new person may still be caught in that illusion. The difference with yourself and the new supply is that you would have held, by design, you would have held the narcissist accountable. You would have seen the red flags. You would have pointed out the red flags. You became harder to control because of the red flags, and you wanted them to become better. The new supply, the new person, they may be younger, they may be less experienced than you are, they may be more willing to accept that narcissist version of reality. They're less likely to question their behavior or their inconsistencies, which makes the new supply very easy to manipulate. This is really because the new supply, as I was saying before, they're more naive. So, they don't really know what the narcissist's true nature is. This is what makes them a bit more malleable and willing to feed into their narcissist's distorted reality. So narcissists often prioritize control over connection. They don't have a connection with the new supply. They have a control over the new supply. They don't want a partner who challenges them like you would have challenged them to become better. They want someone instead who would feed their ego. So the way in which this works, and I've mentioned it in previous videos, is that when the narcissist love bombs the supply, right? Remember, the supply is unfortunately less attractive, right? So when the narcissist love bombs them and gaslights the supply and making them feel like no one else would love them because they may be less favorable in their looks, whereas the narcissist, that doesn't bother him or her, whatever, the new supply in return would feel like they're placed on a pedestal, and in return will keep supplying the narcissist with what they need. So some of them may need money, sex, ego boost, and so on, right? And as such feeds the narcissist's self-image, and it elevates the narcissist on their own pedestal, boosting their ego. So you see, it's sort of like a tit for tat kind of thing. So in addition to this, the narcissists, they tend to seek out individuals who are more impressionable. So it's someone who might admire them without any questioning, and fulfills their need for validation. So an example is like an older narcissist might target maybe a younger person, a more impressionable person who is still learning about relationships and self-worth. So in these cases, the new supply often doesn't yet see through the narcissist's facade because they're not experienced yet. So overall, it's not so much a reflection of your shortcomings, and not that you have shortcomings, but it's not a reflection of anything like that. It's just, the narcissist downgrading is really a reflection of their desperation to regain control, because they no longer could control you. You broke that cycle. Now, it should be mentioned that with the narcissist downgrading, and it has to do with control and getting supply and validation, boosting their ego, placing them on a high pedestal, whatnot, it should also be mentioned that downgrading to the new supply is also a manipulation tactic, right? For you. Narcissists, we know that they love to flaunt the new supply. Though it's a downgrade, whatever, they have social media posts. They're suddenly posting everywhere, making public appearances, showing happy updates and whatnot. It's not about love, it's about performance. It's a manipulation tactic meant to trigger yourself. It's to make you feel that you're missing out and that you were the problem all along. What I mean by that you're missing out is because it's kind of like, if you didn't hold me accountable, I wouldn't have discarded you and you could have had all of this. Like that. They're trying to show you that you're missing out on something. It's such a classic manipulation tactic that they all do. The narcissist wants to make you feel as though you are somehow falling behind, even though your journey towards healing may take some time and self-care, while their new supply isn't that they healed. It's just a temporary fix to replace you, to replace that supply for their insatiable need for attention. And because though narcissists are these selfish creatures, it should be mentioned that they did love you. There was some sort of love there. I'm not saying no. So having that new supply is why I really call them a glorified rebound. I would have mentioned it in previous videos too. They're glorified rebounds. It's a way to not deal with that pain of losing you, you know. So don't fall for any of these manipulation tactics. Their seemingly quote unquote perfect new relationship is just another cycle, another cycle that's, you know, that you've already started to break free from. So guys, I want you to remember, your worth was never the problem. You simply outgrew the illusion. You saw the truth. You started setting boundaries. And that made you unfit for the narcissist's control. So that's why they need someone else, right? It's someone who's more manageable and who's more moldable. Someone that's not going to question them. So if you're watching this and feeling that sting, please know that the narcissist didn't move on, you know. Nor did they replace you. They replaced your supply. The narcissist didn't move on. Heck, they moved sideways. They even moved backwards, but they didn't move on. They just moved to someone who fits their dysfunction. So remember, you're the one moving forward, and healing doesn't always feel empowering in the moment, right? And we'll get into that in future videos. But choosing growth over chaos, that's real power. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to like, subscribe, and maybe drop a comment about your experience or what you hope to see in future videos. Remember, you're not alone in this, and that we're moving from victims to survivors to victors, and we'll get there. We're all gonna get there, okay? It's a journey, you know. It could feel tough, but don't give up. We're gonna get there. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.